The Fear and Greed Index is currently sitting at 21, still resting within the fear category. XRP has now lost the number 4 spot, currently trading in number 5, after being passed up by BNB. And if you've been holding crypto for the last couple of months, this is likely what your portfolio looks like. But never fear, because the Federal Reserve and all of their criminal friends have been sitting in a back room scheming on ways that they could save the American economy. And after lots of time, lots of hard work, and lots of intensive planning, they have come up with an incredible plan. And if you're not aware of what it is, this is that plan. And even after an absolutely brutal day, with the vast majority of the top 100 being deeply in the red, the weekly, well, it's pretty much in the red too. The monthly, nope, it's still in the red. But I'd be willing to bet that the yearly is absolutely looking incredible. Son of a... And as always, this is not financial advice and is nothing short of the rantings and ravings of a man who, when putting the Christmas lights all over his house for Christmas, meticulously checked thousands of tiny little lights before he was even sure the extension cord was plugged in.
Fix the newel post!
First off, jumping over and taking a look at Total 3, we can see that since forming this 5-wave impulse to the upside, price has been trading within this well-defined channel going back to the Wave 2 termination during the week of September 11th, 2023. Keep in mind, this is the weekly chart, to which it then started to form this A, B, C flat pattern, which is a 3-wave move down, a 3-wave move up, and a 5-wave move to the downside. When zooming on the chart a little bit closer, the first thing you'll notice is that the CCI is exhibiting the exact same symptoms that I've been talking about on the ISO 222 tokens in my last couple of videos, where the blue line looks to be preparing at some point to get ready to cross over the yellow line. This is generally a bullish sign. We can see what happened last time it occurred right here. Price started moving upward, pulled down below it, breaking above it again here, to where we saw this incredible run moving up to the B wave termination right here. Price is now currently trading within the C wave of this ABC flat pattern. And when dialing in even further by going to the daily chart, we can see that this C wave is forming a 5-wave move to the downside, exhibiting the exact same symptoms that we were seeing on the Bitcoin chart that I covered on Saturday, which when trading within the wave 4 formed a 5-wave Elliott wave move in the form of a triangle, which is an A, B, C, D, and E. We can see that after forming the E at the top of the upper trend line, price broke down, has broken below the lower trend line, and is now starting to break down below the bottom trend line of that channel. This is not a good sign, which means that we are currently forming the wave 5 to the downside to finish out this 5-wave impulse to the downside. We can see that the B wave actually extended slightly above the beginning of the A wave formation right here, which is very typical of a standard flat pattern. And in most cases, what we would expect to see is the C wave termination would be right in the same area as the A wave termination right here, meaning it would come down to the 1-to-1 Fibonacci, which means that we could expect this wave 5 to be elongated, pushing down into this bullish fair value gap right here, somewhere in this particular range, but can also extend below it. And if that was the case, we could likely expect it to come down here to the 1.272, which would be a considerable drop from the current market cap level. I do believe that it's going to be most likely that this will be the area that we'll see it bottom out if it has the momentum to continue pushing down into this area. Price has also been exhibiting a bullish hidden divergence right here coming off of this point to this point that we can also see on the indicator, which would likely still remain in play as long as the price does not come down to this previous low, which is marked by this dotted line. Depending on where this stops and reverses would ultimately likely determine where we would see this bullish hidden divergence. But as it sits right now, it's still currently resting at this particular point. Either way, if price comes down to the 1-to-1, we could still see the overall market cap drop by approximately another 20 to 25% from current levels. But now that we have seen this candle right here breaking below this lower trend line, this is very concerning. But at the same time, many of the altcoins are down already 75 to 90%. And I've said in previous videos that I do believe we are going to see the vast majority of altcoins eventually go to zero, becoming completely worthless. So could this be that move into the time that we could potentially see many of these altcoins completely becoming obsolete and getting wiped off the grid? I guess time will tell, and it will definitely be something to watch for. But even though the crypto market can be incredibly frustrating at times, it's very important to stay focused on your goals because it's very easy to get thrown off course and become overly emotional about a position that you hold. When crypto market go down, what the hell's wrong with this thing? When crypto market go up, If you've been thinking about trading spot or perhaps just looking for a place to swap your cryptos for zero fees, use my link and sign up for Bitunix. You'll be glad that you did. Now jumping over and taking a look at total crypto market cap, we see something very similar where price has been trading within this well-defined channel for quite some time, going all the way back to around the week of June 13th, 2022. Price also made a 5-wave Elliott wave impulse to the upside and is now trading within an ABC corrective pattern. When zooming in a little bit closer, we can see that this ABC, when forming the B wave, went beyond the beginning of the start of the A wave right here, represented by this white dotted line, that went up exactly to the 1.272 Fibonacci. At this point, it's not clear to whether or not this is in fact a running flat, which means that the C wave would actually fall short of crossing through the A wave termination, or if it is an expanded flat, which means that the B wave breaks above the start of the A wave, but also breaks below the A wave termination. As it sits right now, after looking at the charts, I do think that the odds favor this being a running flat, but that's still not set in stone. And just like in Total 3, the C wave consists of a 5-wave move to the downside, with a 1, wave 2, wave 3, and when it was trading within the wave 4, formed a 5-wave triangle in the form of an Elliott wave ascending triangle, which is a 5-wave move in the form of an A, B, C, D, and E. Just like on the Total 3 charts, the E wave termination came up to the upper trend line, and since then, price has been breaking down, breaking below the lower trend line, and is now also breaking below the lower trend line of that channel that price has been trading within since June of 2022. Which means we are now trading within this wave 5 right here. If this is, in fact, a running flat, then we could expect that this wave C would fall short of breaking through the A wave termination, represented by this white dotted line. And if that is the case, when looking at this, we can see that it's most likely that we would see a rebound somewhere in the range of this bullish fair value gap on the weekly. Whether it be up in this area, whether it dig down a little bit deeper. But now that we're seeing price break below this lower trend line, just like Total 3, this is not a good sign. But if this is in fact a running flat, that would be our best bet because price would be held up above this white line. Because if it turned out that this was in fact an expanding flat, then we would expect to see something more like this, which could shave off anywhere from 25 to perhaps 30% of the current market cap. But there's a good chance that whatever percentage we see on Total 3 is likely going to be very close to what we see within total market cap. So I will be watching both just to kind of get a better idea of what we're dealing with, because obviously there's a lot of different ways that this could go. And jumping back over to the weekly, just like what we saw on the total 3 chart, we can see that total market cap is also exhibiting a bullish hidden divergence on the weekly chart. From this point here to this point here, we can see the corresponding points down here in the CCI indicator. It's also exhibiting the same symptoms that we were seeing on the total 3 market cap, which, much like in the video on Saturday that I released talking about this blue line crossing over the yellow line on many different cryptocurrencies in the ISO 222 family, at some point we are going to see this blue line cross over this yellow line, making a bullish move to the upside. And now that we're trading within the wave 5 of the wave C, every day that passes, we're getting closer and closer and closer. But obviously, with everything going on within the markets, especially in terms of the yen carry trade, it's likely going to be very challenging moving forward, and very well could take quite a bit of time for this to finally settle. And nobody can tell you exactly what the time frame is that we're dealing with, whether it would be early in 2026, mid-2026, moving towards the end of 2026, that remains to be seen. But regardless of what happens, this Christmas, this is what I will be doing.
Where do you think you're going? Nobody's leaving. Nobody's walking out on this fun, old-fashioned family Christmas. No, we're all in this together. This is a full-blown 4-alarm holiday emergency here. We're going to press on, and we're going to have the happiest Christmas since Bing Crosby tap danced with Danny f***ing Kaye. And when Santa squeezes his fat white ass down that chimney tonight, he's going to find the jolliest bunch of assholes this side of the nut house.